Catching up with friends, it's a blessing. Truly, it is to find so many amazing awoken people right now who know their purpose and mission and who are deeply connected in, who can sense into other people's energies and they're living for it and they are feeling fantastic. And so when I'm catching up with my friend Paul and I'm asking him what's going on for him, and he shares with me his experience with reading Mastering Human, I want this to be heard by everyone because I think it's fantastic.
Okay, so when I first got the book, I had a lot going on the first couple of days. So honestly, it kept drawing me to it. Something kept, I don't know if it was myself nudging me or what, to make time to sit down and read the book, because I've never been a big book reader for that matter. So I actually sat down and started reading it. And I would say, now I had no expectations of how I would feel or anything when I started reading the book. So, which is good. But within the first 10 minutes, I right off the bat, I noticed my fingers tingling. And I know that feeling because I get that feeling when I do the white light healing and as well as meditating. So anyway, so I started getting that feeling, which was I wasn't expecting that. And even within the first few pages, I knew I knew this was going to be good. I felt it, coming into it. I had watched some of the videos, and I did not have the inclination that reading the book would be so, that I would get as much information. I didn't think I would get as much information as I did get. But what's odd is that some of the same videos that I saw on the kind of translated in the book, I read. As I was reading, I remember thinking to myself, I've already listened to this before. I know I didn't read it, so I'm thinking I must have saw this on a video or something, one of your videos. So, but as I was going through it just even from the beginning, epiphany after epiphany, just came into existence. I wasn't expecting much, but I was joyfully, it was unbelievable. So the questions that I had over several months in my mind, and little parts that I didn't, little parts of the metaphysical perspectives that I didn't really have in my head at that point. And mind you, we're all going at different levels, and that's fine. We're all one, and nobody's beating some, winning or anything like that. So, I chose to. Everybody's got different approaches, and my approach was to not ask other people unless I really, really come to a thing where I just couldn't get it. So, but I had probably 15, 20 questions written down in a notebook that I needed asked, and I hadn't gotten around to asking anyone. So, and I was trying to go within anyway to get the answers from within, use my own intuition. I kind of like that approach. But so I noticed that even from the first chapter, a lot of these questions that I had been answered in what I read. And who would have thought, so, and I know that some of the words, some of the, chapters in there, like I said, were correlated with the videos. And I'm thinking to myself, well, I didn't necessarily get the metaphysical perspective when I listened to the video on this topic, but then that same topic in the book, I did get it. Now, another thing is I noticed for me, and I've always said, I've never been a big book reader. So I noticed that if the book, if I have a problem or not problem, if I have a concern on something or, that I don't fully get, I don't go into the next sentence until the current sentence is understood as much as I can. So in the book, I could stop myself, I'd stop in the middle of a sentence, even on one word. I could stop myself and think about it and ponder it, and it would start to make sense, So in the video, yes, videos are good too. So, don't get me wrong, but I like, in fact, I like the fact of having both the videos as well as the book. So, but with the videos, I can't, at least with my current TV setup, I can't easily push rewind, or I end up pushing rewind and it goes back way too far, and then I just get irritated. So, but yeah, many epiphanies, and questions that I had unanswered in my mind, even from starting from chapter one. Uh, and I just got to the point, actually past halfway through the book, and I kind of picked and choose, or not picked and choose, kind of just picked randomly toward the second half of the book and read some of it, and then I got back to reading. So I'm halfway through the book, but I am definitely, I recommend anyone to get the book. You'll feel it. Um, and everybody learns different ways, and absorbs different ways. But I'm saying me, I've never been a book reader. I would rather pick up in my past, like reading stories, and to each their own. I'm glad people can pick up a storybook and read it. I just never could. And I wish I could, but I could pick up a medical dictionary and read that. But I've never been one to read. So for me to read this and actually understand for the first time in my life that I can, not only can I absorb it at a different method as of the audio. Being a musician, I'm really big into the audio, hearing things, but I've actually was surprised to see that the information is getting absorbed. I'm comprehending it through the book, feeling whatever I'm feeling, the tingling, connection. It's connection. It's connection. I can feel the energy. But I'll let you uh, see what you think on that.
Well, I mean, you've brought up many statements, and I appreciate all of them. And some people have this misconception that you have to like all the sessions, or you have to like all the videos, and that's not the case at all. I think that some people really struggle with the formatting of the videos. They want to lip read someone speaking to them. They need subtitles. They need it much slower. They need it much quicker. Like, to cater to everyone, it's really not possible. And I think for those people who can listen to the sessions and absorb the information, apply the concepts, and live in that kind of way of living, which is loving yourself and loving others, and having full acceptance of all life contracts. I mean, that's a huge task. It sounds freaking simple, but in reality, we have to remind ourselves and get into a habit of seeing the world from that perspective. So I mean, when you reached out to me and you're like, "Hey, I've got this book," and I'm actually really surprised, because I'm actually getting a lot more out of it than you thought. I think you kind of felt like, "Oh, well, better just buy it just in case," Joe's expecting me to be like, like,
I know.
there's no peer pressure at all. But yeah, as I said, I'm not a huge reader. I only read the stuff that I was required to do at varsity, and I feel like, as you said, we all learn differently. And I mean, just today I was talking to a practitioner who was so ecstatic because one of her clients, who she had a phenomenal session with, she tried to introduce the sessions and say, well, if you're blown away by your session, listen to these sessions, because this is really, this is in the same information. It confirms everything that you've got, even though, I mean, isn't that amazing to have your own session, get a huge amount of big information, and then to listen to these sessions that we have been sharing for years, and then people realize that's not a fluke what you just channeled. Your guides were not telling
Right.
you nonsense and giggles and shits and giggles. They actually were trying to give you advanced information for you to be prepared for what's to come. And when you hear it and confirmed in hundreds of sessions that we've done now, that has to give you confidence and confirmation that your own personal session was not just some effed up ramble from, obviously, the boogie monster devil, because that information scared the bejesus out of you. So there's
Right.
lots of things. Anyway, so this practitioner had this client who had a profound session, but the client is not interested in listening to our sessions at all, which is totally fine. Like, it's not a It's not a requirement. You know, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. You guys do whatever you're doing. You know, like that's all that, you know, that's all I can expect from
Right.
myself and others, right? Anyway, so I was talking to the practitioner today who was blown away because she got feedback from this client that they bought the book and they're halfway through it. And in this state of emotional tears of just profound epiphanies and also this high elated excitement, enthusiasm, and profound empowerment. And it's like she can't handle the sessions for whatever reasons, and I understand it. I mean, even it's an investment of a lot of time as well, you know, like I can really appreciate all the reasons why people don't want to listen to the sessions, and this is another reason why they've pushed us to do the books. You know, we're working on the fourth and fifth one
Right.
now. They're huge. The next ones are huge in size. Like you know, like they're reaching at least 500 pages each. They're just gigantic. Anyway, another sort of side distraction. So it is amazing how this information will find us the right way we need to. You know, the teams constantly get quizzed and questioned by us, like, what are you doing? What should we be doing? And, you know, how else can we help humanity? You know, like we're constantly asking, what else can we do? What can you do? And so it seems really exciting to know that there is new formats of the information. It's not my information. It's none of my clients' true information from, you know, unless there's a conscious mind conversation. Yeah, that's our shit. You know, that's our human monkey mind speaking, trying to be all like, trying to apply the best perspectives that we can and, you know, try to find inner peace, balance, and joy, you know, with everything we're going through while still being very human. So yeah, those definitely are us. But the actual quantum sessions where, you know, either myself or my clients are channeling advanced beings, because like, you know, anything over 3D is definitely advanced, definitely advanced. So, you know, we're very blessed to be able to have great connections. So it's interesting. It is truly interesting. And I'm seeing you know, people abruptly awakening, and it's profound and it's amazing and it's very, very, very exciting. And then, you know, so that gives me great joy to see advanced awakenings. And then, but I'm also seeing some people at a slow but consistent growth, and that's all fine too. You know, like we're doing the best we can cope with, and you know, there's certainly no judgment here for me, but the where I'm at now, I kind of wish I'd got here earlier. But you know, there's, you know, it's all divine timing because, you know, I had to experience a lot of experiences to be able to get to where I can appreciate my inner peace and balance today.
Right. I agree.
Mm.
I will say, and one thing also with the book is that, and like I said, I come from the medical background, and so I would read, you know, in a medical, you know, at least in the Western culture here, the medical over here is, you know, it's a clear cut. You do this, you do this, you do this, you give this, and you do this. So, you know, when you read a book, there's no, it's just, you know, you just read it and that's all you memorize it and apply it. Well, so reading this book, and it didn't start on day one, but I would think the second or third time I was reading, because I do one chapter at a time. And sometimes I'll reread the same chapter. But anyway, I noticed, okay, you ever been driving, and I think your videos have referenced this. I can't remember if it's the theta or whatever, theta, but when you're driving and you all of a sudden you're driving, you're like, you realize that you made turns and you daydream, basically daydream while you're driving, and you can't believe that you just went 50 miles, you know, and you wasn't even thinking, you know, wasn't even consciously aware, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
A daydream. So I've noticed myself get so into the words, physically looking at the words and thinking at the same time of of the perspectives, that I catch myself in a daydream, my own little world, like my own little, you know, and it's hard to do that when you got a little one running around. So you got to be, but so when he sleeps, when my little one sleeps, I hurry up and jump to look reading it, because but yeah, it puts me in my own little. Once I feel that energy, and I get into it, which I can feel now. It puts me in a little daydream. I can't remember the waves. You probably, or the
Yeah,
you know, like
there's various brain state waves, and I think this is the challenge that we're sort of experiencing now, and this is what kind of is sort of discussed in the next book after Mastering Human, which is The Shift to New Earth. And it's discussing sessions and how we can understand as a practitioner, because our frequency vibration is so in tune and we are more and more connected to our subconsciouses, that there is not a huge difference in some clients, their sort of consciousness awareness, because they're so deeply connected into their subconsciouses. And so it's interesting because, I've done some sessions with what I would assume is advanced clients, but then when you realize that they've got some big inner work, that big inner work can still be like still impacting these advanced sessions in some regards. So yeah, it's amazing how back in the day when Dolores was developing this method for QHHT, the frequency energy of her clients was very different from, say, their subconscious. So when you're reading these books, and I know a lot of clients who are practitioners keep saying to me, oh gosh, I know we're supposed to be reading Dolores's books, but I just can't get into them. I don't know why. I don't know what's wrong with me, they would say. Can't get into the books. I just look at the words, and then I kind of go into a daydream. And then I would ask in the sessions, because they were like, maybe this work isn't for me. Maybe these books aren't for me. Like, what's going on here? And the subconscious would always say, it would put them in this higher sort of meditative state where they were just absorbing the energy of the information, not necessarily having to read the information, because we keep hearing that these books are profoundly high frequency vibrational. Just holding them is something that we're not probably used to, compared to holding our telephones all the time.
Right, I agree. I got mine on the side of my bed. I will say that is very interesting how you just worded that. Yeah, because I think me with my daydream, there's maybe different ways, different types, but for me, I don't know, maybe daydream is a different word to use, but to me it makes me more focused. It make me more focused on, like, blocking everything out. It's like I start feeling energy, and the more energy I start to feel, it makes me focus more. And here's the thing, another reason I like the book is because as I'm reading it, and and I can stop, which yes, you can stop the video too, but with the book, when I stop and I come to a certain perspective or a word that I don't really understand, or a concept that all of a sudden it hits me, and boom, it'll trigger me. It triggers, and I do see this in the videos, but not as much. But the books more so. It triggers me to find things not in my past or future, my current life. Reading certain things in the book, I'll instantly will trigger. That's why this and this and this, and I wasn't even thinking of these everyday situations until it'll come across. I'll get epiphanies like right in the middle of a word or whatever. So I just hope everybody can have that.
Yeah, well, it seems like it's a huge work effort from the collectives to bring all this information together, and it's their commitment to be able to help us absorb the information that they are trying to lovingly give us. And so every statement in those books are very important, and your teams are always going to back you with absorbing and focusing the right information to empower yourself, because the more we can empower ourselves, the better it is for everyone. So it's sort of a win-win. And I also know some people who are huge readers, love reading. They just they couldn't wait to get their hands on this book, and it just triggered them something chronic, and they were just like, what
I wondered about that.
Yeah, they were like, what on earth? And so I was like, well, tell me what you're going through. And it was accountability, responsibility for their own self. And you're reading parts of the book, and suddenly you're remembering your life. It's kind of like, this is your life. Journey, hashback back to, and it's kind of like your teams are right there with you, sitting beside you, reading with you. And when you're reading certain information, they're then giving you the insights of information from past or even current situations that you're still trying to process. And this, like, they're basically pointing out what's on the book and then giving you this memory or giving you this impulse to remind you of a certain person or an event or a situation to kind of like marry them all together. Here's the pieces of the puzzle. And yeah, it's so effing empowering.
I agree.
But and it's a course, it's a manual.
That
like
is what I was experiencing.
yeah, like I mean, it says on the front cover, it's a manual. It's a manual for self empowerment. It is not a joke, you know. Like you, and they keep saying to people who are struggling with it, pace yourself. You know, this is you're honoring your journey. You don't try to just do. I mean, no one should ever try to run a marathon without practicing it first, you know. And it's kind of like, we're already in this marathon of life. Let's just get small, bite-sized information of experiences and exercises to understand what we're going through and how to apply it. And we just, it was too much if you try to speed read that, I think. And I also believe that once you've read it once, you've already grown so freaking much with all of those epiphanies from A to B, from front to back cover, that when you read it again, you're going to get it at even another level, which is it's just, it's a mind pretzel to think how leveled and layered this is. And by the time we finished this book, I felt like I had embodied all of this information and all of this empowerment. And I just wept in gratitude and joy that I finally could understand it and see it from this perspective. And it was just such a beautiful gift. And then, then they're like, right, that's awesome. Now you can focus on 3 more books. And yeah, which is cool. And I think you would appreciate reading the Shift in New Earth, because I mean, I think it is exciting to see who, there is information that hasn't been shared publicly. And I think the information that is within that is going to empower people to really help others be accountable and responsible for their purpose and mission and their roles for being here now. We can all love each other and accept each other, but it's a nice thing to remind each other of how we should be respecting advanced beings and respecting this work in general.
Right. And I am looking forward to reading the next book. It's honestly, I've never had an experience like this in my life of reading a book. I'm more focused, and you're right, going back over it, like I was saying earlier, sometimes I go back and read some of the shorter chapters over just because. And yeah, you like I say, if you read it first time, you absorb it, and then when you read it again, sometimes you can get even more information out of it. But it just settles in so easy, especially the second time around. But this is a gift to humanity. You've done a great job with this. It's for people now and perceived future. So it's definitely helped me. I can, like I said, I'm a loyal video watcher of the videos, and this is a different type of learning for me. I'm glad that I have the dissonance, or whatever you want to call it, to think they can only learn one way. We're never too old to learn a new trick. Even if somebody who's never. Go ahead.
Did you read Mastering Old Earth?
I read most of it. I skipped around on that one, and so sometimes I read different chapters 2 or 3 times. So, but yeah, I did.
I mean, that's a whole different kettle of fish. Like, I kind of feel like mastering human is a really nice way to prepare ourselves mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, everything, for us to be prepared for that content, I believe.
Yeah, I agree. It's the Mastering Old Earth, I had done, I think I had seen something I had watched the videos on the website. So a lot of what I was reading, I ended up wanting to read the Mastering Human more so. So I never did go back and check and see if I read every chapter of the Master and Older, but I will. So,
Yeah,
but yeah, it's I've
totally.
never thought that I would be someone to recommend a book ever in my life. Like I said,
Yeah.
um,
Well, I
yeah, I
mean,
could recommend a song, but not a book.
and I hear this commonly through lots of clients is that they deeply resonate with this information. Like it's so profound that they have this burning desire to share this with everyone, but they are too scared to share it with other people because, well, what if they think I'm crazy or whatever, whatever, whatever. And I sort of say, well, when we like recommend new restaurants or a new movie or a holiday destination, do you take responsibility for everything that that person is going to experience? We
Great
can
analogy.
we can recommend a whole lot of stuff, but not have any like attachment or ownership. I know some people deeply respect this work so much that they would probably, slap their husbands if the husband said anything negative about this work because it's so sacred to them, so especially their own sessions, but when they're trying to, that's when it's so important to them and so valuable because it resonates so much because this has helped them, even though it is a lot of information to process and some of it is definitely quite scary when you sort of don't know the whole reasons why. This information has profoundly empowered people beyond their wildest imaginations. And they've really kind of done it on their own. They've done it in the comfort of their own home while they're doing the washing, jogging, whatever, whatever, whatever. And I think this is when people get such a personal attachment to the information because they've put in all of the effort and time to listen to this information because it makes them feel good, even though, it's a lot of heavy concepts. It feels good because they finally get to understand what is going on within them. It helps them understand why and who and how they are reacting and responding to the world.
Right. Right. And here's the thing, even if you get someone who, you know, doesn't, will read the book and really doesn't want to read the book, but, reads it and, it may not resonate with them. Here's the thing. There's nothing in that book that is fear-based. Look at everything. Look at our media. Look at turn the TV on. Look at our newspapers. Look at everything. Everything's fear-based. So, if anything,
Sure.
this book is totally non-fear-based. There's nothing that goes against, that this says anything against anybody's concepts for that matter.
Well,
There's some big concepts in there, but
yeah.
you can choose to resonate with that or not.
Well, I sort of feel like if you are fear based anyway, naturally anything that you see is going to be a reflection upon that. So if you are fear based, everything's going to be fear. Like I see lots of people talking about, movies and sort of having really fear based perspectives of, oh, well, it's on Netflix, so it's obviously the devil, or, it's on this, everything on YouTube is control, manipulate. Like, there are some people that are so fear-based because of other people's opinions that they will write off like whole industries because of some truther or someone sort of saying all of these people and all of these movies or all of this or all of that is, I mean, if you still think that the dark are winning, like, yes, it looks like a shit show. Yes, it looks like there is still a lot of manipulation and control, but that has to be played out to trigger people to awaken to that nonsense. If it was just all easy peasy, make it easy, and everyone was love and light, but we would be in a different, we wouldn't be doing like this. That would be amazing. But people are complying to corruption. People are complying to manipulation that is disempowering them and others. And so it has to be so absurd to trigger them to notice this. That is the grand awakening to what we have been complying for centuries as humans on Earth.
Yes, and if, like I said, anybody can turn on the TV anywhere right now. Some of the things, which I don't really watch it too much, but on occasion, like I got a big family, and it would be like, there's so many crazy things that are going on in the world right now, and I literally sometimes just, chuckle inside. I have my inner peace, but I kind of chuckle sometimes when I see that this this person did this or this group did this. I'm like, well, you know what? It's some things that you would never think would happen or what happening right now to awaken us. Like you said, we've been complicit so long. How are we going to do our inner work if we're not triggered to do our inner work?
Yeah. Yeah. And part of us is regaining our sort of empowerment again and realizing, well, it's all good to be in the stable job, but is it really good to be in that stable job without sort of, holding people accountable? It almost seems to be common now to not question and to not think for yourself and to just comply, regardless of whatever it is. It's just comply. And
Right.
we keep doing these private sessions where we get told that there are people who are of influence who can't get out of this now because they have created so much control and peer pressure in their social circles and in their professional circles that they can't even change within themselves now because they're the leader of this
Right.
this disempowerment. And so what do? You've created this empire, you've created this industry, you've created this business where you've got everyone in this very interesting,
And your mortgage is due, so you got to keep making the paycheck.
yeah. It's interesting. It is interesting how it's all unfolding. And I guess because for me, I still identify as being, this is my first lifetime here. Even though I know that when I was 15 years old, I had an additional soul essence come in to the minivan of my body to be to tag along. And I know he's had many lifetimes here. And so it is very interesting how, we are very full and busy doing lots of stuff. And I haven't really given too much of an interest to try and ask, I don't think, how many soul essences I have, because I do know that they come and go. Like I know
Right.
that this one walk in, he's got a mission and he's busy doing his stuff. And but I know that there have been other energies that have just come and hung out for a while. Especially with that, when I was writing or editing, I should say, the new sessions that haven't been public for the Shift to New Earth, there was definitely a few beings I felt like physically sitting beside me having conversations. and it was like I would write a paragraph and then they would like go and check and see the timeline to see how that would empower, and it was the weirdest thing. It was the weirdest thing. And then they'd come back and they'd be like, okay, this needs to be added on more, because they would see the empower. And it's like when I'm channeling a session and it's like they scan to see how it's being a process and how it will be applied. And then they come back and then they add more information on. And I'm like, but I haven't even stopped this recording. How can you guys go and fiddle, like observe and come back and give more information and then check that? It is the most weirdest thing. It's awesome. It's definitely mind blowing. And I guess this is why it's prompted me to do I think the next book that will come out will be about time and the convoluted concept of time for being human. It's pretty amazing. But I found that when I was doing this book, and it blew my mind, because it was like they kept checking in how other practitioners, because I really feel like this book, out of interest, if anyone wants to understand what they're going to be experiencing when they shift, or how, there's been many sudden exit points for people. We know this is a very common thing now. People are having what we would assume sudden death. But we know why and what's happening to them. And, we hear in these sessions what's going on there.
All over the world,
Oh, everywhere. Yeah, absolutely. And so it's fascinating. So if people want to understand that and what's really going on there, this book is for it. But the people that were helping me for this book really were really having, they had two groups that they were very mindful of: the practitioners, and they want to empower the practitioners to be, you've got this amazing tool, you've got this amazing opportunity know what you're doing and empower yourself and actually just recheck. Have you got assumptions? Double check those assumptions, because it's amazing how much new information we are getting for them as things are still unfolding. And like, this is fantastic to recheck and get yourself updated. And this is why, they're saying that even from practitioners, you need to have regular sessions for yourself. And then the other group that they're really focusing on is the clients, because it seems like we all get told by professionals something and we take that as gospel. And I mean, I just want to talk about this privately. Our car needed to be serviced, and the mechanic said, "Oh, we can't because it's a certain type of, it's a brand that's not as common here in New Zealand." And so our mechanic told my partner that, the car's a write-off, because the car is like 4 years old. It's a brand new car. It's a write-off because no one imports those parts. And so my partner tells me, "Oh, not good news." And I'm just like, "Excuse me, what? Like, are you sure about that?" And so, the professional mechanic and my partner are having this, like, they have this assumption, well, can't do it. The car needs to be, I don't know, put to death or graveyards or whatever you do with a car that can't be fixed. Yeah. And it was literally like, I don't know, 2 minutes Googling, and found, the importers here in New Zealand and all this sort of stuff. But it was like, my partner was starting to look for new cars, and I was just like, whoa, okay. Anyway, so the moral of the story is we put so much faith and trust in the professionals. And as clients, I can't tell you how many times I've had people who have discovered our sessions and have written me these most heart-wrenching stories about how they went into a session with a client went into a session with a practitioner that was local to them, really freaking expensive for them. They wanted it for, certain other things. They got really big information that they were not expecting. And then the practitioner at the end made them feel like they were insane because of the information that they'd been channeling. And it was like the clients are saying to me, my subconscious was arguing with the practitioner. My subconscious was really calling out the practitioner because the practitioner was not willing and open to see this sort of stuff and to hear this sort of stuff. And then, I've also heard clients say my practitioner shut down my session because this information started coming out. And like, for me, I'm so sensitive to this because I know how hard it is and how confusing it can be to channel information that's so beyond our own human mindsets that it is a big thing to get to that acceptance of, well, that's not my information. I'll process it when I can, but it's going to take me some time. We're very vulnerable when we are starting to understand these sessions. And if you've got this very expensive practitioner who is a big deal, and you're going there and you've been super vulnerable to them and respect them, and then they basically give you, without these exact words, "You're a piece of crazy nutbud, shithead, whatever,"
Right.
you could put someone's personal spiritual journey back and stunt them and profoundly disempower them.
That could turn into trauma.
Totally. Yeah. And so, the subconscious will give the clients what they're ready for. And the practitioners definitely can be a part of the handbraking to support the clients. And I know that when clients want to ask about the new earth, for example, and the practitioner said, "Oh, I'm not going to ask that. It's already here. You're already here." And the clients would be like, "No, I actually want to explore it." And the practitioners would start getting shitty with them. Like, as a practitioner, you have no rights to have any emotional reaction to what your clients need from you to ask. You, as practitioners, we're only asking questions that the client wants us to ask their subconscious. We are not here to pass our opinions or judgments or anything. And, I think fun thing is that I think a lot of people forget, Dolores Cannon's still here. She may not be in her meat suit being Dolores Cannon, but her
Yes.
energy is watching. Heaps of other big beings' energies are watching and seeing what's going on here. And, nothing's hidden.
Right. What do you think? Let me ask you this, Joe. What do you think? And I can feel your energy with and your concern and your emotion regarding them petitioners that are doing that. We'd like to say that it's not the majority of the petitioners, but for the few that are that way, um, what do you think that is originating from? Do
So
you think
from
it's because they're inner work or
Yeah, it's
lack of?
either it's two options. Their collective isn't able to go to a new Earth because they, as a collective, are not ready to evolve there yet. They will get there eventually, but it could take a few more planets and many other
Right.
lifetimes. So there's that, with much respect. Or it could be inner work that they have assumed that they're going to trust other people's information, and they don't realize that those other people have come from different collectives.
Right. Totally makes sense.
So this is why everyone needs to ask big questions in their own sessions and clarify what's been said for them. Because, my session information may not be applicable to another person, even if we're in the same collective, because I may be going somewhere different from where they're going. Like, it's not every soul's desire to go to the new earth. They've already mastered the
Right.
fifth dimension. They want to go and to their home planets. They want to do other things. They want to continue on somewhere else. Like, it's not one option to after we shift. And if you don't ask the right questions and you get told, you're going to have your exit point here and then you're going to go somewhere else, it's not even a fifth, you're going back to source, whatever. Like, we can use our
We can't comprehend.
yeah,
Yeah.
we can use our Mr. Stupid to make huge assumptions. And people have asked me to listen to their sessions because they want to understand what the information is that they have been channeled. And I say, well, listen to the question. The question's not what you think the question is. The question is, what are they going to do after being here on Earth? And the answer was go back to source. But it's like, you have to listen to the sessions. The questions are important, and so is the answers and the interpretation of it. And we can miss some really crucial when we're holding on to our expectations, we want certain answers, and we're trying to squish our certain answers. We can get different,
Right.
people,
Cognitive dissonance.
yeah. I mean, it's all fascinating, and when there are so many interns that are being created and they need sessions and they need to explore it, and I think the new book would be a beautiful gift for interns, to be honest, because the interns are listening to the advanced leveled practitioners and their opinions, and everyone's opinion counts and is significant and important for them because that's what their belief system is, but it doesn't make it true for the collectives. Whatever humans say, that's cute and all, that's humans, but double check that with your own collective. We would
It's almost
be
like, go ahead.
when you've got advanced beings that would happily love to give you lots of answers, it's a bit silly to be not asking them what's going on.
Right.
But then people don't want to know also. It's scary. They love their house, they love their position in the world, they love their family they have now, they've got plans to retire in Fiji, they've got all these hopes and expectations that their life has for them, and that's all fine. But the reality is, and they intuitively know this, that is not going to be the case. So they don't want to process that. They don't want to be aware of this information, and they're distracting themselves. And I can understand that too. It's a lot. It's a big deal. And, this is not for entertainment.
Right. It makes you wonder that, I mean, I haven't done the training for the QHHT, but I'm sure they talk, I'm assuming that training, they go over the importance of, as a petitioner, understanding that you'll get different, not different, but big information, from different clients, and that, that as a petitioner, you got to ask the right questions, and these scenarios that you've talked about a second ago, where they are disempowering. I would have hoped that and assumed that in the training that they really emphasize that, even the petitioners need to do their inner work, as much as they can. And when they get something different in a session, that they got to understand that there's different collectives. Hopefully they can really, because we just talked about the two reasons: inner work or not the correct collective. So hopefully, maybe they can really, for whoever's doing the classes, can really, make that a priority, and to the new. Or, or just if they have a website, I'm sure they do have a website, really, really bring that topic out to petitioners, so they know about, them two things, and not to let it interfere with your own stuff, your own information interfere with your clients.
It's been so long ago now since I was training, I don't know what their current statements are, but ultimately, from my recollection, they were just wanting us to understand how these sessions work, in terms of, how to read the script, and to market yourself, and to listen to. We didn't really hear any full sessions, I think, like from beginning to end. The level 1 session, the level 1 course, because it was with Dolores, we got to see her in video, online, doing a full session. And that was really interesting and extraordinary, and that was really helpful. But level 2, even though it was in person, we never actually got to see a full session. And I think because just as I had done level 2, they changed the requirements. It used to be you'd have to do 25 different clients to be ready to do second course, the level 2, but they just changed it like that week or whatever. And so people had done like 7 or 8, I can't remember, clients. They didn't even need to be successful sessions, and then they could do the level 2 course. And so I knew a lot of them. Every session's a practice run. Every session you're because you can't truly prepare yourself for what that client's other lifetimes are. And so it's very interesting. I'm very passionate about this work, and I don't believe that people are doing this work to try and disempower people intentionally. I think, especially with some big egos, they think they're just amazing anyway, but they haven't humbled themselves to just double check with their own recent sessions. Like, is there anything that's holding them back? That's a huge question. Like, you've got to be really willing and prepared to hear the answers when your practitioner is asking your subconscious, is there anything that's holding them back? Any mindsets that are holding them back, any belief systems that are holding them back. And that's when you can hear the subconscious go, wow, yes.
Funny you ask.
Yeah. Get ready for this. Yeah. And they're not judging. They're just like, yeah, well, they could definitely be updated with this, because this, and the thing again is quite a classic experience. A statement is, yeah, well, they've got this belief system, which was true when they got given the information at that time. However, today, that is not the same scenario. That is not the same situation. And that's when a good practitioner would be like, well, why is that? Why is there a change now? Explain to us why they got some information 20 years ago, and this year, this week, you're saying something else. Like, what happened, subconscious? The subconscious can explain everything. The subconscious is not going to be like caught out in a lie or, oh, you rascal kids, I would have gotten away with it too. Like, the subconscious can explain it, because again, this isn't the subconscious's information themselves. They are simply the messengers, like we are the messengers. Like, the subconscious isn't making up the history or what's going on, because again, the subconscious is one being, and there is, billions, I guess, whatever, other beings and on higher dimensions all working towards this. And so it's not one person's or one being's responsibility. Even like the Arcturian collectives is like, there's a whole bunch of them. It's not one person or one being's information. It's a whole collective. And so no one's responsible for, it's it's one of my favorite conversations, and I get fascinated with the ins and outs of it.
Yeah, it's I can appreciate your emotion with with some petitioners, the way, maybe disempowering. Like I said, you feel that they're not attempting to purposely trying to empowering them. It's their, a lot of times their own work.
Some people have sort of said, oh, I would never want to go and have an intern because, oh, they're just so fresh and new. And I think it is like, when you're driving a car, you're so, you to 100% of the rules. You've got everything focused. You're doing everything that because it's all fresh in your mind, and you are, you're terrified to making mistakes because this is a new thing, and so you're honoring all the steps and all the processes and everything. This is, when you're new at anything, even though you may not be perfect at it, you're really giving it your full intention, your full integrity, your full everything. And then when you get into a routine, that is when mistakes, and you can overlook certain crucial things, or don't expand. I mean, we know Dolores said that this method should be evolving, as humanity should be evolving. And as a practitioner, are we still using this work for weight loss, or a discomfort or physical body issues, or actually are we helping our clients re-meet departed loved ones, so we can help them understand that they haven't gone anywhere, what they're doing in the afterlife, and all those conversations that can be had to be able to help release them from the guilt or the grief that they're struggling with. Like, there is so much that we can do within these sessions now beyond. And I hear, clients saying, well, how come I just had a session? How come my practitioner didn't call in my mother? Like, my biggest thing was grief. Well, how come she didn't call her in? And I'm like, well, I'm not your practitioner. I'm sorry. And the clients get really frustrated because they're like, why was my service not the same? Or, why didn't my practitioner think about calling in my departed loved ones? I miss them so much. I can't eat, I can't sleep because I am so worried for them. I'm so in grief from them not being here now. And it's like, it gets tricky.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think asking the right questions is so important. And knowing after you ask that initial question, depending upon what the subconscious says or whatever, knowing what avenue, what road to go down after that. I just, like I said, I've listened to a few different sessions, and luckily I've learned through listening to your session. So, but yeah, it would be hard, don't get me wrong, but I think it's I think asking the right questions is so important as it can be for petition.
Totally. Yeah. It sort of seems like the practitioner doesn't want to ask any questions that they don't know the answers to, because then they don't know how, like, if they got the answers that they were not expecting, they don't know how to like process it, or like what's next. So they try to keep small. I don't quite know. I mean, I'm not going to speak for everyone, and I truly believe that all practitioners have great opportunities to grow profoundly like everyone else, and then of course I have those practitioners that have got extreme guilt because they've been coasting for so long and they didn't mean to. That's quite heartbreaking as well, because they feel frustrated, but we're all busy trying to cope and do the best we can. So no one's truly judging anyone really, and if they are, that's their inner work. But it's more about how we can empower each other. And if we do know that there are people that could that still are seeking profound empowerment, giving them the book of Mastering Human, coming from your heart, is profound. You just know the energy within the book itself is profound. They don't even have to read the freaking thing. you know, but it's so big. It's not shy. It's like, hello, I'm here. Read me.
Right. I agree. It's very, looks like I got a little one up. Just a minute, bud. So yeah, I agree. It's just without even reading the book. Yes, you can, I guess, like I said, I put it next to my bed. Maybe it gets some osmosis going or something.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure it is. Okay, my friend. Well, I'm going to wrap it up because I know you're busy. And I just wanted to say the one thing that I'm going to change this year, that's important, I think, for people to know is that I'm only going to be charging
Sure.
a one-off. And I have done this before, but I just don't think I've made it official. Is that I'm just going to be charging a one-off fee for people to have sessions with me, and we can do as many sessions as they need to be able to really unpack, trust the process, trust the information, trust the experience of channeling, to really get into the deep and the dark stuff, or the many onion layers of their inner work to truly empower themselves. And I just know money is such a tight thing for people. It can be really stressful. And to know that you've just got a one-off payment, and then you can have as many sessions as you need to be able to explore everything that you need to empower yourself fully and truly, is important. And I think every practitioner should be taking on this approach, because we're committing ourselves to good friendships and good relationships with our clients. And if we just think, oh, I'm only going to give them enough energy for one day, I'm not really going to care about them, we need to be making sure our clients know we have them as friends, and that we care about them, and we're interested in their journey. And also, you know, it's kind of our responsibility to kind of nudge them and say, remember when your subconscious said, this is not, you know, empowering you anymore? Like, how is it going for you? Like, with love, we're not trying to trigger our clients, but we're trying to keep them accountable and on their path. And I think this is why a lot of clients don't necessarily want to do more sessions, because, you know, they don't want to do the inner work potentially. So, you know, I know my clients are definitely all for empowerment, because they're just so sick of disempowering themselves or being with limited perspectives.
Right. That is such, you know, being of service, Joanne. That's just a blessing to hear that for everyone. So yeah, I don't know how to even top that off.
Well, I mean, I think it's never been about money for me. It's always been about empowering people.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, I just want people to know I'm still trying to be the best of service, to be able to make sure that people can get, you know, good sessions. And yeah, I don't know. There's so much to be said, and I always love chatting to you, but I do know that your son is needing you. So, farewell to everyone listening, and thank you again, Paul, for confirming what I was really hoping, is that reading these books actually, you know, are surprisingly more impactful than we could even imagine.
Yes, I definitely agree, and glad I could share that with you. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you so much. Anytime.